Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome with C.O.D.Y. As usual, I'm your host, C.O.D.Y, and today we are continuing November's theme of Awesome Pulp Action Movies, which I think is what I called it. I'm not too sure. I keep changing it, I think. So anyways, up today, we have Big Trouble in Little China. Big Trouble in Little China is a movie from 1986, directed by John Carpenter, starring Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, Dennis Dunn, James Hong, Victor Wong, Donald Lee, and Carter Wong. And I'll go over who they are in a couple of minutes. So, John Carpenter, for people who don't know who John Carpenter is. John Carpenter is a legendary writer and director. I mean, he's done a lot of things. In musician. I almost forgot musician. So, John Carpenter is best known for, nowadays, I'm not too sure. Halloween, that's a big one. The original and the newer ones. The Thing, Christine, the Stephen King property. This movie, Big Trouble in Little China. Prince of Darkness, They Live, In the Mouth of Madness. He's done so many things. Oh, Assault on Precinct 13. The OG one, not the new one, where they just used F-bombs everywhere, I think, pretty much. Directorial-wise, he's done a lot of things. Some pretty tentpole, we'll say genre, air quotes, things. Halloween, obviously one of the most horror icons in the world, is I was going to say Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers. Escape from New York, I forgot about that one. He's done, so many things. Worked with a ton of people, everyone from, obviously Kurt Russell a couple times. He worked with Jamie Lee Curtis on a bunch of stuff. Obviously the Halloween movies. He's done a ton of things. Album-wise, he's got a bunch of soundtracks of his own movies, which he made theme songs for, including the one for Halloween. So yeah, it's John Carpenter is massively big in everything. Comes genre-wise, not just. He's not just one genre. Assault on Precinct 13 is an action movie. Starman's a sci-fi movie. Christine obviously is a horror movie like Halloween. Dark Star back in the day is a science fiction comedy. You could say. Big Trouble in Little China is a fantasy martial arts comedy film, as it's said in here. I would say an action comedy film or a pulp action comedy film. He's done a lot of. They Live, obviously, is a sci-fi action horror movie. The Thing's a horror movie. In the Mouth of Madness is a psychological horror movie. A lot of stuff. He's done a ton of things. John Carpenter, he's amazing. Next up, the screenwriter, along with a couple different people. You have two main ones. Gary Goldman, who has a pretty... He's got a pretty good career. He wrote the original Total Recall. He wrote Navy SEALs, which is one of my favorite warish movies, but from the 80s. It's not the best movie in the world, but it's good. 90s actually. 1990s, so technically 80s, but 90s. It had, come on, man. Dude, Charlie Sheen was in it. Michael Bay, Bill Paxton. There was a lot of good people in that movie. Anyhow, not talking about that. I'll do war movies one day. But Gary Goldman, he wrote the screen adaptation for Minority Report based on the Philip K. Dick story. He also did the... What was it? The goal... hold on. I lost my train of thought. What Where'd it go? Oh no. Where'd my notes? Curses. Okay. Anyways, he did another Philip. Oh, here it is. He did another Philip K. Dick property, which is a terrible movie, but he did it, which is based on a story called The Golden Man, which was then turned into a movie called Next with Nicolas Cage, and Julianne Moore and Jessica Biel. It's a terrible movie, but it's also a Philip K. Dick property that he did. That's what I was looking for. I was like, I had it open here and I closed the window apparently. Anyhow, so that's Gary Goldman. The adaptation of this particular movie of Big Trouble in Little China was essentially done by, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong about this, along with Gary Goldman, David Z. Weinstein, J.D. Richter. Also helped with the screenwriting, adaptation in a way. Like, I think there was he was working on other stuff. I don't remember, but he co-wrote it basically with. I know at least Gary Goldman. I believe David Z. Weinstein had a property in there too. But what makes W.D. Richter awesome in my mind is two things. One is, he wrote he produced The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, which is one of my favorite, most ridiculous movies ever, which one day I'll talk about. But he wrote the 1979 Dracula movie. So you may ask yourself, well, why is that one so big? So that's the one that had... where is it? Boom. Is this the one? Yeah. Frank, I talked about this briefly before when I talked about Masters of the Universe. I can't remember how to say his last name, but it's Frank Langini? I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyways, he played Dracula, Count Dracula in it. Lawrence Oliver played Van Helsing in it. A lot of good people in the movie, but the movie's pretty fun. So I like that movie. But anyhow, but what makes me always think of him besides Big Trouble in Little China is the fact that he wrote the screenplay for Stealth. If you've ever listened to the main podcast, Comes Naturally with my friends Joe and Mike, and sometimes Tosh, he wrote this stinker of a movie we make fun of all the time, and the guys like to point out the fact that I have a copy of it on DVD, and I do actually have a copy of it on DVD. But anyways, he wrote Stealth, so he's not the best creator in the world, but he worked on, like I said, Big Trouble in Little China. He did the screenplay for Needful Things, which is a Stephen King property as well. He did Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He did Dracula, like I said. Robert Redford's Brubaker, he wrote that. And then he directed and produced The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, which again I will eventually talk about on this podcast someday. Anyhow, that is W.D. Richter, or as his real name is, Walter Dutch Richter. So starring in this movie, we have a wonderful cast. Kurt Russell plays our hero, Jack Burton, a cocky, wisecracking, all-American truck driver who gets involved in an ancient battle between good and evil when he makes a delivery to Chinatown, San Francisco. That's his character description on the internet, so there you go. Kurt Russell, obviously, a massive fan I am of him. Movies like Tango and Cash, which one of my favorites. Tombstone, Backdraft, Stargate. One of my also favorite movies, Sky High. The Hateful Eight, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He is in, I've never actually seen them, but he's in a couple of the Fast and Furious movies that I've never seen. And then Backdraft, Escape from L.A., The Thing, along with John Carpenter's stuff, and then obviously Big Trouble in Little China. Oh, he also played Elvis in the movie Elvis, directed by John Carpenter as well, in 1979, famously. And also, I think I mentioned this before. Have I talked about Kurt Russell? I don't think I have, actually. Anyways, he is uncredited as the voice of Elvis Presley in Forrest Gump. I think I mentioned that before. I could be wrong. I think I did because I mentioned it during the Frighteners episode, because the guy that's in Frighteners is the body double, or it plays Elvis Presley, but like kind of like blurred off camera. But he's credited as Elvis Presley's legs. But the voice of Elvis Presley in Forrest Gump is Kurt Russell. Does that make sense? Kurt Russell's done a lot of movies. I named a handful of them. He's done a bunch of really good movies. But I digress. Oh, Bone Tomahawk. Go watch Bone Tomahawk if you guys haven't watched it. If you want to watch a fucked up Western movie, there you go. Bone Tomahawk. I don't know where it's at. I think it's on Prime Video now. It might be on the Netflix. I can't remember. But you should watch that movie because it's fucked up. And it's based on a book which I now own, but I haven't read yet, which I heard is insane. But it's... I think I talked about this. I don't think I talked about... Did I talk about Bone Tomahawk on the show? I don't think I did. But anyways, the dude that directed that has also directed a couple different movies. Well, he wrote the screenplay for The Incident, which is known as Asylum Blackout, which I haven't seen, but I heard is real fucked up. It's a Belgian horror movie. But he wrote, directed, and composed Bone Tomahawk. He then directed, wrote, and composed Brawl in Cell Block 99, which has Vince Vaughn in a revolutionary role in his career, along with Jennifer Carpenter and Don Johnson and a couple other people that I don't know too. Then he did the screenwriting for a newer Puppet Master movie, which I never watched because most of them are trash. But he did do Dragged Across Concrete, Jesus, which he again directed. He was screenwriter on and composed. And that one also has Vince Vaughn in it, but it has Mel Gibson, Michael Jai White, and Jennifer Carpenter in it as well. And that movie's pretty fucked up as well. So yeah, that's a little small tangent, but go watch Bone Tomahawk and just wait for the scene. I know you'll see it. I won't mention what it is, but it involves a fire. You'll understand what I mean by that. When it happens, you'll be like, that's what Cody was talking about. Holy shit. Anyhow, Kurt Russell's awesome. Jack. So I mean, really, you can Jack Burton. You can basically just watch this and know it, but you should also watch well, I mean, early stuff. The earliest thing from him you should watch is Used Cars or Escape from New York. And then, of course, The Thing. If you've never seen that, you should definitely watch The Thing, which I think I mentioned. Did I mention that last month? I don't remember. Anyways, Tequila Sunrise is a good one. Overboard's really funny. The Best of Times is really funny. Tango Cash is one of the greatest movies ever made. Captain Ron. I forgot fucking Captain Ron. Yeah, dude, you should watch that too. Executive Decision. Yeah, watch that one as well. Anyhow, that's Kurt Russell. Kim Cattrall. Kim Cattrall is in two of my favorite movies. One, being Big Trouble in Little China. Two, being Mannequin. And nobody can change my mind about that, because Mannequin is the best movie ever made. Best romantic comedy of all time. And no, Mike, he was not trying to have sex with the mannequin. He was trying to have sex with the human version of the mannequin. There's a huge difference. Never once did he try to fucking stick his penis in the mannequin only when she was fleshy. And if you don't know what that mannequin is, that whole sentence should make no sense to you. Anyhow, go watch Mannequin. It's awesome. Mannequin 2, fun, not great. But Mannequin is amazing, and you should watch it. I think I've never actually talked about Mannequin solely on the podcast. I've mentioned it. One day I'll change that. Have I talked about Mannequin on here? I can't remember. I've done a lot of these, and I don't remember what's all on what. Anyhow, Kim Cattrall is amazing early in her career. She actually, I can't say she's never been amazing. I've only seen her in a handful of things. But I know she was in, Sex and the City for seems like 100 fucking years, 94 episodes and 2 movies. That's pretty good. She did a voice on Duckman, so that's cool too. Movie wise, she's been in a lot of things besides Mannequin and Big Trouble in Little China, which by the way were back to back. So heavy hitter right there. Oh, I know I talked about Mannequin before and Kim Cattrall because I talked about Police Academy, and she's in Police Academy. Duh. I know, of course, I talked about her on there and Mannequin, so you guys should know I'm fucking obsessed with Mannequin. Anyways, she was also in Bonfire of Vanities. She had a small role in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. Doesn't really count. Split Second, she was in that one. Above Suspicion, Exception to the Rule, Baby Geniuses, which don't hold that against her. Most recently, Sex and the City 2, which is in 2010. And then something called, where was that TV movie? Boom, 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 boom. I guess that's not a TV movie. Is that a TV show? Oh, I guess it is a TV show. Never mind. I thought it was a movie called Tell Me a Story, but apparently she's in season 1 as the main role in that one. It was on CBS, I think. Got canceled. I don't remember. Anyhow. Kim Cattrall. She is in this movie. And she's a Mannequin, and watched both those movies. Watch Big Trouble in Little China, then watch Mannequin, and realize they're not connected in any other way except for the fact that Kim Cattrall's in both of them. Anyhow. Dennis Dunn, or Dennis Dune, I'm not too sure how to say his last name, plays Wang Chi, Jack's best friend and restaurant owner, whose fiancée is kidnapped by Lo Pan. Which, eventually, if I get to the story of Big Trouble in Little China, will maybe make more sense, but probably won't. He's only been in a handful of things that I recognize him in, movie-wise. They are Prince of Darkness, which, obviously, if you were paying attention earlier, is a John Carpenter movie, because John Carpenter likes working with the same people over and over again. And he did work with both Victor Wong and Dennis Dunn on that movie, or with that movie. So, there you go. Boom, boom, boom. You should watch Prince of Darkness too. It's a pretty good horror movie, supernatural horror movie. I had never seen Year of the Dragon. I saw this on the list and I was like, well, I should watch that, but then I never looked it up, and then I know it stars Mickey Rourke, so I'm not too sure. And I think I've seen it, but I can't remember, and I need to look up the trailer, and I never did. But anyways, I think I have. I just don't know. This doesn't sound familiar. Mickey Rourke, I was like, why Mickey Rourke? Anyhow. And then he was in a handful of TV shows. Charmed, he was in an episode, 2 episodes of Jag. He was in Luck, that show on HBO that unfortunately got canceled due to the fact that the horses were getting hurt on film, and they got shut down. They didn't want to hurt horses because they're good people. And it was costing too much in insurance and claims and shit or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but it was a good movie. You should, or good show. First season, or only season, first season, was pretty dope. 1 season? 2 seasons? 1 season. It never got picked up, right? I think it was only 1 season. Anyhow. But yeah, he was crucial to the movie Big Trouble in Little China. Not so much in The Last Emperor or Prince of Darkness, but anywho. Next up, James Hong. James Hong plays the villain Lo Pan, and also goes by the name of, he goes by David Lo Pan, but then he goes by the evil like emperor, emperor. He's cursed by the emperor, but he goes by the name Lopan when he's trying to become like a god of some sort. Anyhow, James Hong. James Hong is awesome. James Hong has been in a ton of things. So much, though, if you go to Wikipedia or IMDb, you have a long time scrolling because he's been in, it seems like, everything, television-wise as well. All the way back in 1955 was his first television role. 1954 was his first film role. I should say uncredited for like 6 or 7 movies in a row. But he's in that. No, I haven't seen any of them. But I know he was in TV's Reader's Digest, Judge Number 4, episode The Brainwashing of John Hayes. Anyhow, he has done a lot of stuff. He was a voice in Mulan. He was in Bloodsport 2. He was in Wayne's World 2. He was in The Shadow, which I talked about last week. He was in so much good stuff. Hero, the Jet Li movie. He was in Balls of Fury, played Master Wong. If you've seen that movie, the movie's hilarious. He was Mr. Ping in Kung Fu Panda, who is the goose, right? Adopted father of Jack Black's character. He's in all those movies, in the short stuff as well, the short films as well. And I think the video game, I think he was in that too, he voiced that too. Or it was taken from the movie, can't remember. He's in so many things. Small roles, big roles. Doesn't matter. He's always going to be David Lopan to me and Mike forever and ever. He even made an appearance in a parody video called David Lopan Style, which was a hilarious music video or music parody video by Wesley. I can't think of his name right now. I'll put a link of it on the website so you can watch it. Really funny video. Makes fun of Gangnam Style, but uses Big Trouble in Little China as a narrative for it. Anyhow, he makes an appearance in that. So watch that. It's really funny. Next up, Victor Wong. Victor Wong will always be 2 people for me. Forever and always. He's been in a lot of things. Oh, actually, 3 things. Sorry, I take it back. I just remembered one of them. He'll be always one of 3 roles. I do this a lot. He will always be... Egg Chang, what's his name? Egg Shen. Jesus, Cody, pay attention to what you have written down here. So he'll, to me, again, three roles. Big Trouble in Little China will be Egg Shen. He will then, right after that, be Walter Chang from Tremors. And then, yes, if you know what's coming up next, 3 Ninjas, Grandpa Mori Tanaka. In all of them, I believe. All of I know of his last role and final film role was 3 Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain with, I believe that's the one with Hulk Hogan in it. Yep. But yeah, so he will always be those 3 people to me. Whenever I see him, I always go like Egg or Walter, or Grandpa. But yeah, he's been in, tons of stuff. He's amazing in a lot of stuff. TV shows wise. He's in a handful of TV shows. Beauty and the Beast, the one with what's his face? Jesus, what is his name? Jesus, not Ted Danson, right? Was that the one with Ted Danson? No, Ron Perlman. Why was I thinking Ted Danson? Anyways, Ron Perlman plays Beast in that movie, in that TV show, along with Linda Hamilton. Linda Hamilton plays Belle. Anyhow, it's Victor Wong. He's awesome. Egg Shen, amazing. Next up, Donald Lee. Donald Lee, he isn't in a whole lot of things. I mean, television-wise, he did a handful of episodes of different things. Movie-wise, Big Trouble in Little China, One Crazy Summer, Memoirs of an Invisible Man. He played a cab driver. Rapid Fire. He was in Hawaiian Style, Saved by the Bell special, the TV film. He played Keanu. U.S. Marshals. He was in The Avengers. When I say that, you're like, whoa, who is he? He played the World Security Council guy. He was on the screen for like not that long until Nick Fury shut him off. Anyhow, he's awesome. And he plays Eddie Lee, sidekick to a sidekick in this movie, but is awesome. And last but not least is Carter Wong. Carter Wong has been in a ton of stuff, which I did not know because most of them are Japanese. He also directed a bunch of stuff too. And the only thing on this list I've ever seen is Big Trouble in Little China. But I know for a fact he's been in other stuff that I could not remember. But then I realized I don't think I'm thinking of the right guy because I looked at this list of stuff and I was like, no, man. I don't know who this guy is. I thought, well, he was in one of the Kickboxer movies. He's been in a lot of things. I don't know any of them. They're all from like the early 70s or in the 70s, some in the early 80s. I don't know. I thought I knew him from other stuff, and I was incorrect who he was. But he plays Thunder in Big Trouble in Little China, which I don't know if I'll even talk about. Well, I mean, I'll talk about it now. I don't know if I'll discuss who Thunder is. There's thunder, there's lightning, and there's rain. James Pax. I forgot to mention James Pax plays Lightning. James Pax is a dope dude. That is the wrong button. I don't know how to work a computer, guys. I'm sorry. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in Near the Dragon, In Love and War with James Woods. Was he in The Last Emperor? No, that's not right. He was in that one. A couple other things too, but yeah, he's in that one too. I think that's all of them. Yeah, that's everybody. So Big Trouble in Little China is basically about Jack Burton, who is a truck driver, delivery guy, who makes a delivery to Chinatown. In the midst of it, he rolls into a war going on between good and evil, these two gangs, Lopan's group and everybody else. And he kind of rolls over the ghostly spirit of Lopan, and then they steal his truck, and he has to go to his buddy Wang Chi, played by Dennis Dunn, to help him get it back. And he finds out he's in the midst of this giant battle between actual good and evil, taking place in Chinatown between Lopan and his army and the underground group of the Lords of Death. Anyhow, so during this, they find out that Lopan is looking for a girl with dragon green eyes. Turns out that was actually Dennis Dunn's girlfriend or fiance, who he was going to pick up at the airport. She was kidnapped by Lopan's people because they believe she is the one needed to break the curse put on him by ancient Chinese sorcerer, or he's the ancient Chinese sorcerer who is cursed by Emperor Quan Si Hong, I believe how you say it. I'm trying to remember this, or trying to read off my notes here. So doing so, he needs to basically find this green-eyed woman and marry her and then sacrifice her to appease the gods to break the curse put on him by the emperor. And during that, Kim Cattrall's character, Gracie Law, a lawyer who is Jack's love interest, she gets taken too because she also has green eyes. And they're like, fuck it, take them all, and we're just going to find out who's who. And yeah, that's it. Susie Pei plays Maya Yin, or I think it's Mayo Yen, who is the fiance of Wang Chi, Jack's best friend, and she's the one that gets kidnapped. But yeah, that's and then they fight him, and then they go through the compound to get Jack's truck back, but also to save both Gracie and Mayo, or I think it's how you say her name, Mayo, from the treacherous Lo Pan and his army. Pretty awesome final battle, hilarious movie. Borders on slapstick a couple times, but also just super fun and hilarious. And you should all watch it if you haven't already. And that's it for this week's episode, everybody. Tune in next week when I will have the final episode of November, which will be The Spirits. So come back next time, or if you're listening to this later on, maybe now, just go to that episode after this. Doesn't matter. Anyhow, as usual, I've been your host, Cody, and like I always say at the end of these, let's be awesome.